My brothers and I have been living in our townhouse for 8 years now, ever since I entered college and my brothers entered high school in an exclusive school in Quezon City, Philippines. Our townhouse is only a 10-minute walk away from the school, which is very convenient for us. However, because our family business is in the province, my parents have to live there, while my brothers and I live in our townhouse alone. Several incidents happened in our house, which we chose to ignore. In one instance, when my dad paid us a visit, he and my brother were in the kitchen. My brother was washing dishes, while my dad was chopping vegetables for lunch. They were both facing the wall, their heads turned away from the door leading to the washroom at the end of the kitchen. From behind them, they heard my voice say, "May I use the restroom?" My brother answered back, "What's wrong with you?" Because he was surprised I was asking permission in our own house. They both turned around and saw no one. They checked the bathroom. It was empty. They went around the house. I wasn't there. I received a call in myself from my brother that day, asking where I was. I was at work the entire time. But my brother and father were both certain it was my voice they heard. Now the second incident was more creepy, because I myself experienced it. I was leaving for work. My youngest brother was already in school, while my younger brother was in his room. I stepped out the door and stood by the front steps, locking the door with my keys. Suddenly, I heard my voice in the living room calling my brother's name. "Rap, come down here." I fumbled my keys and tried to open the door, except this time, the locks won't open. I heard my brother running down the stairs, so I went to the window to see what will happen. The living room was empty. My brother opened the door for me and asked why I was calling him. I told him it wasn't me calling him, and he couldn't believe it. After telling the story again, I left him to go to work. The third incident happened in my room, more than a year after the second incident. I woke up in the middle of the night, which always happens to me. The first thing I did is check my bedside clock, which I always check when I wake up in the middle of the night for comparison. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. At the corner of my bed is a full-length mirror, which normally faces and reflects the image of my bedroom door. After checking my clock, I checked my mirror and saw myself standing and staring at myself in a deadpan way. At first I thought I was looking at my reflection, and I even asked myself in my mind, why the hell am I sleeping standing up? But then I felt the bed, and I knew I was lying down. After a few seconds of staring at my standing reflection, I turned to the other side of the bed and decided just to ignore it. The last incident did not happen to me, but to my youngest brother, who has always been in touch with the supernatural. It happened just last year, in 2007. According to him, he woke up at 5 a.m. and took a bath for school. While getting dressed, he noticed that his reflection in the mirror was grinning at him, though he wasn't smiling at all. He got terrified and decided to go to school, though it was too early. When he was locking the door, he practically screamed when he saw his own head grinning at him from his right shoulder. He walked to school the whole time with the grinning face that looks like him on his shoulder, which he could see through his peripheral vision. On the way to school, he passed by some shops and saw his reflection still grinning at him. He noted that although his reflection looks like him exactly, the eyes were somewhat different. My brother chose to ignore the doppelganger, who stayed with him at school the whole day. A doppelganger of my classmate. It was Saturday morning. Some of our classmates, including me, were tasked to go to the school to finish our beautification project. We were done exactly at 11 a.m. All of our classmates, excluding Trisha, Karen, Ariana, and me, went home. Ariana told us to wait here at school while she will go and buy something to eat. She didn't eat any breakfast. So we agreed, and we waited for her. Since there's nothing much to do, we decided to go on ghost hunting. We went up to the second floor and began filming all around us with Trisha's phone while walking. As we passed by the library, we all felt a very cold wind around us. Trisha screamed, "Run!" Then we ran outside the gate and we saw the guard. The guard is very angry with us, and so he tells us to go home. We text Ariana to go to my place after she is done eating. At my place, we replayed the video. As the film passes by the library's glass window, we saw Karen's reflection wearing a blue t-shirt in front of Trisha. Trisha was so shocked and said, "Wait, you're at my back, right? And are you wearing a white t-shirt back there?" Karen said, "Yes. Why will I be in front? Clearly you're the one who is in front, right? And I'm still wearing the exact same white t-shirt." We tried to replay it again and again, and still the same. I really want to know what you think, because I'm still baffled by this whole situation. If anybody has any idea as to what this could be, please put it in the comments below. D is for doppelganger. As would be expected, a lot has happened since I was last on here. In due time, I'll explain my absence. But for now, I'll start with what is troubling me the most. I have been with my partner, whom we'll call Michael for privacy reasons, for nearly a year now, and this started happening in November of 2012. Now, before I delve into it, at all times when these sightings have occurred, he has not been on any medication, drugs of any kind, nor had he been consuming alcohol. To better understand the story, I better give you a layout of the house. Walk through the front door, you are greeted by the dining room, with an open plan kitchen at the end of it. Take 4 steps forward, and to your left you have the lounge, which is connected to the dining room by 2 doors which are kept open at all times. Next to the lounge is a small extension of the house, which is Michael's little sister's playroom. The playroom is separated from the dining room by a glass wall and a glass door. Keep walking straight from the front door, and to your right is a door leading to the garage and laundry room. Next to the laundry door is the hallway. The hallway is L-shaped, and the first room to your right is his mother's and sister's room. Go to the corner of the L, and you'll find the main bedroom, which his grandmother resides in. At the corner of the L, and slightly off to the right, is Michael's room, and at the very end of the L is the bathroom. Michael has been seeing my doppelganger. The appearances have been happening generally once or twice a month, and it was usually just out of the corner of his eye. My doppelganger has usually been seen in and around his room and up and down the hallway. After grilling him for details, I found out that before these sightings, he would always get a whiff of my perfume that I tend to always wear. Now, the sightings have only ever been at his house, and no one in his family has my perfume, and none of my clothing is actually at his house. Doppelganger seems to have my sense of style down to a fine art, as it has always been seen wearing my usual attire. Michael has always picked up a feeling of sadness every time he's seen my doppelganger. Now, here's where it picks up a notch. A few months back in June, I was on the phone with Michael when he suddenly stopped mid-sentence and everything went dead quiet. Thinking something happened, I immediately got worried and asked what was wrong. All I got in reply was very frightened whispers. Getting slightly frustrated, I asked yet again what was wrong. Michael finally told me he was seeing my doppelganger. I then got very worried as he was very frightened. I asked Michael what happened, and he said he had been walking around the dining room table talking to me when out of the corner of his eyes, he saw someone sitting on the couch in the lounge. All his family had retired to bed for the day, so he was very surprised. As he turned to face it, he saw that it was my doppelganger, clear as day, casually sitting on the couch. Scaring the bejesus out of him, he ran into the playroom. My doppelganger then proceeded to get up from the couch, walk towards the kitchen, and, from what Michael heard, as he couldn't see at this point, get a glass of water. No glass was ever found as proof of this, by the way. As I calmed him down over the phone, I asked him if he got any vibe from the doppelganger. He said he picked up an obvious negative vibe, not in a menacing way, just down and unhappy. He also said it looked like my doppelganger was in pain. Can doppelgangers even feel pain? Now, I definitely know Michael wasn't bluffing to me, as this happened over the phone, and no one can fake the kind of fear that was in his voice. Another thing to note is the doppelganger had brown hair, whereas I have dyed my naturally brown hair blonde. That seems to be the last sighting of it he's had for a while. What happened? Help would be greatly appreciated here, as I'm going out of my mind with questions. What is this thing? What does it want? Why imitate me? No one else in his family has seen it other than Michael. Thank you for reading. Doppelgangers, oh my. I can't say I've ever seen a doppelganger. However, some of my family members have. 2010. At this time, the family members residing in our home were our oldest daughter and her husband, our youngest son, and our youngest daughter. My husband saw the first one sometime in 2010. He came home from work at midnight. I was asleep on the couch in the living room. He was on his way through our room to the bathroom to take a shower when he saw our youngest daughter sitting at my computer. He called out to her. She didn't answer or even move. He assumed she had earphones in and didn't hear him. He realized he had forgotten to grab a towel from the laundry room, so he turned around and headed that way. Our bedroom is on one end of the house. The laundry is on the opposite end. He walked down the hall, though the dining room and the kitchen were in between. Just as he was about to open the laundry room door, M, our youngest daughter, stepped out. My husband asked if she had just been on my computer. She said no, she had been in the laundry room this entire time. We all picked at him about getting old and seeing things. That's before I did some research on doppelgangers. Shortly after my husband saw our youngest daughter's doppelganger, our youngest son saw mine. This happened about 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening. I had just finished cooking dinner and was waiting for my family to come home, except our youngest son Z, who had gone into work about an hour before. I decided to do some laundry while I waited. I always had to keep myself busy when I was home alone. I still had the notion that if I was doing something there, was less of a chance for me to encounter anything ghostly. Plus, staying busy made the time go by faster. I was in the laundry room when the door shut, when I felt or maybe heard someone come into the house. And as a side note, there's absolutely no way anyone could ever come into my house without me knowing it, whether I'm awake or asleep. When our kids were younger, they used to try to fool me. Never happened. I can feel the least change in air pressure drove them crazy. I asked, "Who is here?" Z answered me and said his new manager sent him home to shave because he had a 5 o'clock shadow. He was fussing about as he went down the hall into the bathroom. I stayed in the laundry room folding clothes. We have never kept our clothes in our bedrooms. I have a huge laundry room, so everything clothing-wise is kept there. Oddly enough, I was folding Z's clothes when I heard, "Mom, why are you putting those in my room?" I opened the laundry room door, walked out into the kitchen just as Z walked into the dining room from the hall. The look on his face frightened me. It looked as if he had just seen a ghost. I watched as all color drained from his face. I asked him if he was okay. He just stared at me. After about a minute, he snapped out of his trance. The following is what he told me. He was standing in front of the bathroom mirror shaving when he heard a shuffle. He looked up and out the door. He saw me dressed in a red robe, walking really fast, holding a stack of clothes. I entered his bedroom, so he stepped out of the bathroom to ask me what I was doing. I didn't come from the direction of the laundry room. I came from the opposite end of the house, from the other bedrooms. His is the first bedroom in the hall before you get to the bathroom. I did own a red robe at that time. However, I was fully dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. Nothing red. Before that day, Z was a non-believer of the paranormal. For years, he swore he still was. He refused to talk about that day. About a year ago, he and his wife bought a house built in 1940. He's now coming around to the fact that there are some things that have no other explanation. Last week, April 22nd, 2016, my oldest daughter was visiting. She and I were laying on my bed talking. I fell asleep. She got up to get a drink from the kitchen. As she was leaving my room, she saw M's, the youngest daughter, boyfriend coming from her bedroom, which is directly across from mine. She said he had a faraway look in his eyes. He was laughing as if something he and M had shared moments before was extremely funny. He walked down the hall into the bathroom and shut the door. S continued on to the kitchen. She got her drink and started back down the hall. As she was right outside of the closed bathroom door, she noticed Jay was stepping out of M's bedroom. He looked as if he was half asleep. He asked her if someone was in the bathroom, to which she replied, "You." She reached over and opened the bathroom door. It was empty.